It's important to point out that people on the left genuinely believe that without talking heads like Steven Crowder, everybody would vote for Obama. So because of that, they want the talking heads like Tucker Carlson, Crowder, whomever it is, they want them to shut up and go away so that people can vote for Obama. Does that make sense? Because that's literally what they believe. So it's no surprise that a private dispute that Steven Crowder has with his wife is now making the rounds on Twitter. It's going viral. And the whole idea is that he is presented in an uncharitable position, right? Like he's being a douchebag from what I have seen. And anyone that tries to say, well, it's not illegal like what he did, I mean, it's not something that will get me to stop watching him, you're going to have left-leaning people come out and attack you. So, for example, you have this situation here where this gentleman with a blue check mark says that this is relatively innocuous. Clearly, their marriage is having issues, and they get into arguments. I'm married, and it isn't always sunshine and rainbows. We often regret things we said in the heat of the moment. And immediately you have a leftist popping up. It's like, self-report, weirdo. This is, you think this is acceptable. You think like I am in your head right now. I am thought policing. I am calling the police to put you in the thought prison. Because now I now feel deeply sad and concerned. Yes, I can imagine this left-leaning individual right now concerning like no other person. You know what? I am also sad and concerned that he is sad and concerned over what someone else thinks. And what I need right now is someone to be sad and concerned over me so we can create the circle, the interconnection of sadness and concern to bring humanity together. But, this is the tactic, right? Because now the person is trying to defend themselves, right? It's like internet tactic 101. So I did watch the video with Steven Crowder. He seems to be having a domestic dispute, which is taken out of context. It's very difficult to summarize the life of a person in 3 minutes. Like, if you give me a historical figure and it's like, well, this is their conversation for 3 minutes, I wouldn't be able to tell who they are. But there are some progressive individuals on Twitter that think they can measure the entire worth of a human being who has been on this planet for decades just by watching a couple of seconds on a video. So, I'm not really that of an expert. But seeing the video itself, yes, Steven Crowder is acting like a douchebag. He doesn't do anything illegal, though. Like, I haven't seen any crime being committed. As such, I do not understand why is it my business, right? No one can have the perfect relationship that I have with my wife, where we have no argument ever. None of us say things that we regret later on, because my relationship is absolutely perfect. But I cannot apply the same standards on other people. Right? Like, I lived in a neighborhood which was very diverse. It had people from various walks of life. And I wish I could have recorded some domestic disputes over there, because holy shit. Maybe then by comparison, people would understand that, well, it is possible that other human beings can have it worse. Now, all these people who are deeply sad and concerned, I would love to see a camera in your house for 1 year and see if you manage to have any disputes. Any whatsoever. I'm genuinely curious. Let's see who cast the first stone. My opinion is that this is a private matter. Right? I'm not justifying Steven Crowder being a douchebag. I am not saying it's okay. And I'm pretty sure other people will not understand this particular message. But what I am saying is that, are you sure this is the standard you can live up to like never have any sort of dispute at all? Ever? Like, I'm curious to see that person. I mean, man, there may be the Buddhist monk. The guy that has traveled on the mountain to get the lotus flower, and he never has a domestic dispute. Okay, fine. But, the question is, is the wife never having a domestic dispute with Crowder? Like, do we even know? How can you judge a person just by 3 minutes of footage? What I think is that you generally don't give a shit, right? I genuinely think you don't give a shit, but this is just like the way to attack Steven Crowder, because what they want to say is not that, this is good that he's getting a divorce or anything like that. No. What they want to say is that he should be taken off air, right? Like, that's literally what they want. Like, in the perfect society, he would be taken off air. He wouldn't be able to talk about politics because he argued with his wife at home, right? Like, does that make any sense? Because that's what they're trying. Now, looking at the argument itself, Also very interesting. The idea is that the wife wants to leave the house, and he is telling her she is not allowed to take the car because if she takes the car, then he would be unable to leave as well. So if he wants to go to the gym, if he wants to visit his friends, he would be unable to if the wife takes the car. I do not know the context of this. I cannot say like how they share the family vehicle or whatever. But a lot of people, including Tim Pool, are saying like, why does Steven Crowder only have one car? And a lot of people are saying it's a way to control his wife. And my question is like, well, why doesn't the wife buy her own car? Is she not an adult? Is she incapable of, like, do we know that he has control over her finances? Do we know that he doesn't allow her to work? I mean, we don't know any of that, right? So my question is, why doesn't she have her own car? If you really want to have a conversation about this video that we are seeing, fine. Let's have a conversation. Where is her car? I mean, maybe she has one and it's at the repair shop. Again, you cannot decide what is happening here over a 3-minute video. It is quite possible that maybe she does have a car, mismanaged it, is now at the repair, and she's trying to get Steven's car. It's also possible that he is holding her hostage. I do not know for a 3 minutes video, do you? But apparently a lot of people do. I don't think that he is holding her hostage because apparently, as people are saying at the end of the video, she actually left her house. So she is free to leave. Now, what did Steven Crowder do? Well, he raised his voice. And he was being a little bit egotistical, as we can see in this 3 minutes video, right? Like, he demanded more respect. But I would also want to point out, looking at this footage, they seem to be living in a fucking mansion with a nice swimming pool in the background. Now, I'm no expert in domestic relationships, but if I were to marry a woman which provides me with a mansion that has a pool in the background, and she demands more respect from me, I would probably give it to her. Again, you know, very controversial. I know. But if I were in that situation, right, like this big titty lady, gorgeous, very, very beautiful, puckered lips, nice tushy, right, gives me the mansion, gives me the pool, all I have to do is stay home and give her respecto, I will probably give her respecto. Now, again, you don't have to. Apparently this lady is filing for a divorce. Good on her, you know, take that wealth. I do not know the type of marriage disputes that they are having. However, this is a conversation going on Twitter right now. Everyone needs to pry into their private matter, so I'm prying into their private matter. Probably gonna get crucified because of this, because the only acceptable solution is that Steven Crowder should be taken off air. And if you don't believe this, then you're a horrible misogynistic pig. I would like to point out that if the situations were reversed, I would also think the same. Okay, if I were to see a video with Ben Shapiro's wife acting unreasonable and demanding that Ben Shapiro respects her more and saying that, you know, you can't take my car because how else am I going to leave the house? I would have not cast blame on that situation either. I would be like, well, it sounds like a domestic dispute. I don't really know what's happening. Why doesn't Ben Shapiro get his own fucking car? You know, like that would be the questions that I would have. But it's interesting because, like, on one hand, people on the left, they want the gender to be abolished, right? So, like, they do not want the gender roles. Like, they do not think that Steven Crowder having his own, you know, like, vision of how gender should be, where the man is the provider and the woman has to do wifey things, as he calls it, right? Like, they don't believe that. They believe that's misogynistic. But at the same time, they never ask the question, why doesn't she have her own car? You know, like, here in Eastern Europe, we do not have the same gender roles because it's expected that the woman works as well. Like, 2 incomes in a household. We're poor. We cannot afford. Like, the idea of the gender role where the man is the provider is something that happens in a very wealthy country. You can't have this in a poor country. In a poor country, both people need to work. So my question again is like, where is her car? I mean, a car isn't that expensive. You don't have to drive a Rolls Royce. You know, if you need mobility, you can. But what's also interesting, and this is even more fascinating, because they're basically saying that if you do not have a car, you're being controlled, right? Meanwhile, the government, in many places, like in the European Union, they want to ban gas-powered cars, and the only other alternative would be to buy an electric car that's incredibly expensive. Most people don't have, right? How is the government not trying to control the poor people in this situation? Like if you're believing that you need a car in order to have access to and to have freedom, and the only cars available are very expensive. No, this video sparks a lot of interesting conversations, and they're not about Steven Crowder. You know, I don't care about Steven Crowder. He's going to file a divorce. If he committed a crime, the police should arrest him. But I do care about how people are reacting to this. Again, individuals who I assume never have an argument, and they never say things that they regret later on. And in their relationship, the woman never says things that she regrets later on. They're having perfect marriages. Like myself. Good on you. You know, that's great. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.